Okay.
We're now recording this Evolution Working Group meeting on March 11, 2020. Welcome.
TBD. All right. So I think, all right. I haven't watched the video, but I talked to Matt about it, and it sounds like GitLab is pretty on board with us making contributions.
Yep, Nuritsi joined GitLab a month ago. She is the senior open source program manager or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so her role is to reach out to open source communities, help them with onboarding, help them understand GitLab, but then also to bring in more volunteers and contributors to GitLab. And so she has this nice dual role that is perfect for what we are discussing right now.
Yeah.
And so the document that I shared with you, proposal for CHAOSS to migrate to GitLab, we put this together, or well, I started yesterday after our call, and then sent it to Matt and Nuritsi for first feedback, and now I'm sharing it with you. And the plan is to send it out to the community here after this call.
Okay. Let's see. Have we explored what the technical path is for making contributions to GitLab?
We have not discussed that yet, and I recommend that you add that as a question in the FAQ section so that we can find out.
This heading that we're using here. Heading to
So I'm going through the document right now and resolving comments that Matt and Nuritsi left.
Yeah. So I think technically, I think what Grimoire Lab and Augur and other tools in CHAOSS probably want to understand is, so Grimoire Lab has a Percival and a way of collecting a broad array of data. And that's part of the value proposition that people see for CHAOSS metrics. And I mean, GitLab is also sort of the up and coming second. They're definitely, I don't know how many open source projects they have, but GitHub is the main place. So I think having a way to add metrics that we produce that are generated from data that is not necessarily on GitLab. So discussion boards, comments, things from GitHub, comparisons with GitHub repositories. I think enabling those kinds of functionalities are central to what both Bitergia and Augur do. And so knowing that we can make those types of contributions will be helpful. Certainly we can implement metrics solely within the constraints of the GitLab architecture, but I just kind of want to understand, I think it's important to understand what are the constraints technically for what we can contribute.
Yep, I think that's a fair question, and we'll have to talk to Nuritzi on what her vision is for. Can we bring in outside information, or are we constrained to the information that GitHub already has? Or
yeah, I mean, I think the fact that we can make contributions of any kind really is a market differentiator for GitLab, and especially since GitHub has yet to respond to the emails that I have sent them about how they support anything like that. It seems that this might be a really good way to drive adoption of CHAOSS metrics across at least a part of the open source community that uses GitLab.
Yep. So I'm sure you already went through the document.
Yeah.
We start at the top with the history of how this discussion came about, then considerations, pros and cons. Are there any other pros and cons that you see?
Yeah, I think the I would say that the most significant advantage of moving to GitLab is CHAOSS. This is how I'd put it: community's ability to directly to contribute. So, like, I think there were workarounds for the Grimoire Lab issues within GitHub that were doable. I think what sort of got this conversation moving was when I asked about what does this mean that it's open source, and the fact that we can add CHAOSS metrics directly into GitLab through open source contributions, I think is what lit up support for this within the community. And I think it remains, like, I'm sensitive to the issues in Grimoire Lab, but I think those sort of opened up a beautiful Pandora's box of opportunity for what CHAOSS can do within GitLab that, as far as we're able to tell at this point, is not available in GitHub. Yep. So I think, like, when I think about what drives me as a member of the community, are not these, I think, mostly solvable technical issues. It's the fact that we can actually get our metrics into GitLab. Like, that's far and away the biggest reason to switch, in my opinion. Because everything else is just sort of like technical decision making that doesn't justify the switching costs. But this ability to contribute is way more significant.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, I think that's the, yep, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think switching costs, yeah, I mean, that's so yeah. So I think is there a timeline question on here? When will the migration?
There's further down. When will the migration take place?
So I think we all need to move at once. I think it needs to.
So yeah, we can all move at once. I was thinking of doing it in phases where, because we're not that familiar with GitLab yet, and so
Yeah, I
I
need to
would
start. Yeah,
I would let the Grimoire Lab folks move first and see how they set it up, and then learn from that for moving the rest of the project. Because I know at Liturgia we're using GitLab internally, and so we can learn some best practices there, um, and not have to stumble in the dark as new users to GitLab. So it also looks like as an open source community, GitLab is willing to sponsor um, us with an enterprise version and give us up to gold. That's at least what Nuritsi here indicated.
so as made a comment, but so I think we start with an experimental phase and we have one working group and a couple software projects, and then discuss the setup in GitLab before we decide how to move things over. Um, will all working groups share an issue tracker? Will all working groups be organized in a hierarchy? How will, like, I guess Grimoire Lab plans to have an open one organization or one project with sub-projects. And I think we would probably do the same with our sub-projects. Hang on, I got the sun shining right in my face right now.
Yep, no worries.
I could close a shade.
Yep, I agree with your analysis and proposal. So should we add this to the document? We can just update the document.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't want to presume that everybody agreed with me, but if it's
I wrote it in here, and if I agree with you, we can change the document.
Okay.
This is, I haven't put this in front of the community yet. So
yeah.
We can.
Okay, so.
I copy pasted your comment in here,
yeah.
so we can. Yeah, I was thinking that maybe it makes sense to have all of the metrics discussion in one issue tracker, and then just have filters somehow.
Yeah, I think that might work as well. I haven't I haven't spent enough time with GitLab's issue tracker, but based on what has been described on the calls, it seems like that would make it easier for, like when we're on the evolution call and we are wondering if what we're doing is a risk metric or a common metric, we have a way to, that a single issue tracker would let us sort of make that decision later instead of having to put it into one working group and decide it at the time.
Okay, excellent. Anything else that we can address right now before we send it to the community?
No.
Okay, it's an open doc, so anyone can add and edit.
Okay, cool.
I'll send it out.
Yeah, I think it's, let's send it out.
Excellent. Thank you for your feedback and improvements.
This turned out to be a pretty good idea, I think. Obviously we still need to maintain some kind of, obviously we won't lose our relationship working with GitHub since it's the elephant in the open source room right now. But I think we can demonstrate the CHAOSS value through contributions to GitLab in a way that we simply don't seem to have a path for on GitHub right now. Do we want to discuss metrics with just the two of us?
We can do that. Carter and I have been building metrics, just the two of us.
Okay. Let's see, I guess we have some open, are there any open PRs? I guess we can look. There are 4 open PRs. Carter has an update to new contributors from 2 weeks ago. Oh, it looks like this is kind of an implemented metric. Are you seeing it?
Sorry.
Let me, I'll paste the link. Paste the link, it's the first one.
Yeah.
It looks like the template is what's deleted and
Okay, I see it. I'll put it in the notes. Oh yeah, this is the new contributors metric that Carter and I worked on.
yeah, I mean, this looks like ready to go. So if you agree, I just approved it. And I can merge it.
Yep, perfect. Thank Thank you.
And then there's some of these older technical ones that I think nobody on the calls lately has known what to do with.
We can close them maybe.
Well, I, it would be good if somebody from Grimoire Lab who technically knew what this was about could review it. So I don't know if we should ask Manuel.
Should we maybe ping Jesus?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think he is the one who would most likely be able
yeah,
to review this.
yeah. I'll just put a note. Send me a note on the first one.
The second one already.
326. Actually, the Jesus was commented on 320 back in January, but I just pinged him again.
Yep.
And .312 has got a very long discussion. Who's Polaris triple? Okay.
He's one of the previous Google Summer of Code students, I believe.
I mean, they're probably right, but they're probably useful and good, but since I wasn't involved in any of it, it's hard for me to know what it changes or if it changes the intent of what it is.
I don't know much about what's going on here. How long do you think we should discuss the GitLab proposal?
Like in the community.
Yeah, so
I mean, I think if we
about
socialize it today, we can make a preliminary recommendation for a process leading to approval by the community at the board meeting on Friday. I think it might be, I don't know. On the other hand, the board could, I guess the only question is, are there folks who are involved in the CHAOSS community who have not participated in the discussion up to this point, where we would want to give them time to provide input that's greater than whatever time they've had? Because I think this is what we started this a little less than a month ago, and the board meeting is on Friday. I think the board certainly needs to approve it, and we are meeting on Friday. My only question about whether we decide to approve it on Friday is if we feel that the community has had enough time to know about it, so it doesn't, I don't want to alienate members of the community by having it be this big surprise that they didn't track. But I don't know if that's an issue or if it's not an issue.
So
I'm okay with the board approving it Friday. I think the only discussion point about whether or not to do it is, has the community had enough time to review it?
Okay.
Like the board could provide like sort of I don't know, like a recommendation to approve and a recommendation that we discuss the approval and formalize it with the community, like in the April call. Like that might be the lowest risk way to go in terms of making sure everyone feels like they had a say. But I don't know if that's a concern. I don't know if that's a real concern or not. I mean, I guess that would be the only discussion point, I think, at this point for the board is timing, right? Do you agree? Or
Yeah. So what I'm putting in the document a timeline
okay.
based
Oh, okay.
on what you said. So March 11 is today. Circulate proposal draft on mailing list. Open discussion period. March 13, governing board will be informed about this ongoing discussion. Discussion ends, and if
Well, we have the discussion's been taking, like the discussion of the, so the discussion's been taking place on a few community calls. I'm just looking when is the first meeting in April.
yeah,
It'd be the 6th. I mean, I think we could make it a topic of like final approval on the, like, because the first call of the month is the sort of community call where everyone's there. And so like just waiting another 6 days, is that, I mean, I think it might be just, it might seem, I don't know, it might, like, I think that, so I understand what you're doing, like basically making sure there's a discussion period of a month after the circulation of the formal proposal. And I'm just saying maybe we try to have the decision on the 6th when we have a all community call anyway. Does that make sense?
yep. So I like that. So I put April 7, which is Tuesday, the monthly call.
Oh, right,
As the
right.
final
Sorry. Yes, the Tuesday is April 7th, correct.
yeah, as the conclusion of the discussion on the monthly call. If late, and then April, if lazy consensus is achieved, ask governing board to approve proposal.
Yeah. I think the governing board is informed. I mean, I'm trying to think of who's on the governing board that may not be aware. I can't think of anyone. Like even Brian Prophet's on calls, has been on calls with us from time to time. And I don't know if I've seen Kate Stewart on a call, but I'm sure she's aware of this discussion because she follows the list.
Yep. Okay. I'm sending this out now. Boom. Done. Okay, thank you. Sorry. I'm now back to focusing on evolution metrics.
Yeah, and I'm looking for this spreadsheet link. I should probably keep that link to the spreadsheet at the top of this document. Oh, release status link. Okay. It is at the top of the document. It's just a little.
Maybe you had this good idea before and already executed it.
Yeah, but more likely somebody had a good idea. It's just the word link didn't jump out at me.
Okay. So new contributors, that is merged. Oh, what do we have? So shall we start the, what did we call it? Continuous contribution cycle? Continuous metric contribution cycle? Or what you call the rolling release? We put that in our handbook now. Did you see that?
I did not. So that's not a metric, but it's another discussion. Yeah, I mean, I do think rolling releases are a good thing. I don't know if we want to, did we decide or discuss, and maybe I missed it, if we want to roll, like if we want to take any new things that have arisen in from all the working groups and do a rolling release period on some kind of periodic basis, or do we want to do the rolling release piece on an as metric released by working group basis?
I think we do it on a per metric basis.
Okay.
So we can, I was thinking for the new contributors metric that we just merged, we can start the continuous metric contribution cycle. And I put the link here into the handbook in the meeting minutes, where it says start continuous metric contribution.
Oh, there, I found it. Okay, so we basically would create this issue, I think is the next step. And then announce the feedback window.
Yeah.
So that the issue goes in the evolution working group.
Yes, we tried this, or we did an example with common. Let me pull that up. Issues.
I just found an example. Do you want to create the issue, or do you want me to?
You can do it.
It's the new. It's called contributors.
The new contributors. That's the metric we just
right.
merged.
Yeah, contributors. And GitHub location is, we don't need a release for all the metrics, just the GitHub location for this metric.
Okay, I updated the spreadsheet, added the link to the markdown file.
All right, I'm creating the issue. I guess it, yeah, okay, that's how it works. Hmm. And then labels would be metrics release candidate. Issue created. Paste it in the notes. And then that would just go out to the mailing list, right?
Yeah, send one message to the mailing list, let them know that, hey, we have a new metric for release. And include in the issue also how long the review period, the feedback period will be, so that we know when to close it.
CHAOSS. It's CHAOSS members. Is that the one?
CHAOSS members is the board, just
Okay.
CHAOSS at lists.linuxfoundation.org.
Yeah. Okay.
CHAOSS members is just the board members.
All right. That is sent.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Looks like we have our CHAOSScon CFP on the website.
Excellent.
So that's good.
Yeah.
There's a few more tweaks that we need to do, but then it's all good.
All right.
Okay, I think we have been successful today.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think we have time to start a new metric, so let's call it a day.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you
Talk to
very
you
much,
later, Georg.
John.
Thank you. Bye-bye.